Hey, did you guys see this picture I tweeted last night? Oh,
You,
I know Jeff saw it. He responded to
yeah, you're like a famous developer now, right?
it. No, nothing like that. I've long time tried to get into developing. It's just so intimidating, right? I mean, you even just pop open a book and it's like this syntax and this da da da, and you're just like, oh my gosh, I don't even know where to start. So I kind of just dove headfirst into some like tutorials and how-to guides, and I've been working on it the last couple of days, kind of in my off time, and finally compiled an actual application.
Wow. So you actually have it running on your phone?
No, I haven't. I haven't messed with that yet. I know that there's a device manager that should be able to push that out to my phone. I don't know if that requires the 99 developer account or not.
So is this a deals app that you did?
No, but that's probably on the list. No, this is just a simple web browser, and it started out just a web wrap view for actually iDownloadBlog. Um, and basically, you launched the app, and it took you right to the mobile site. And I was like, okay, well, let's see what else I can do. So I added forward, back, refresh, and stop buttons. I was like, okay, those work now. So what else can I do? So I added a URL search bar, and I'm having kind of trouble getting that to work properly. There's definitely some bugs on that end, but
That's pretty cool, man. I mean, that's a pretty big accomplishment.
That's good.
yeah, like I said in the tweet, I'm sure I'm sure I'm not doing anything. I'm sure real developers are like laughing at how insignificant it is, but I'm going to build on it and see where I can kind of go from there. I think my end game is maybe little simple games, get some simple games into the App Store, maybe ride another Flappy Bird wave or something. Maybe that wave comes back around when Flappy Bird comes out again, and I can hop on the wave and of clones. And I mean, man, if you get in the top 10 even just for a couple of days, that's some big money in ads. That's some real big money.
Flappy
So.
deals.
I thought it'd be cool, like if you replace the bird with like a football, and then you just make the whole like background scene a football field. And it's like you're throwing a pass, and it's going in between defenders trying to block
That's
it.
a good idea.
Yeah, So we'll see where it ends up. I could just quit it tomorrow, like I did with guitar lessons and karate and you name it. I picked it up and put it down at least twice. So
If you hear my dryer like making a noise in the background, it's telling me it's time to take the clothes out.
Thanks for that. If you hear my dryer ding, it's because my clothes are dry. And
I got some nice clothes in there too. I'm really happy. You know, when you find those clothes at the very bottom of the hamper and it's like, oh, I haven't seen that in a while. I think I'll wear that.
That happens, yeah. Or actually, I find them at the bottom of like a closet. They've been knocked off hangers or something, yeah.
So it's been like just I don't know if I'd call it a whirlwind. For me, it's been a whirlwind, or it seemed like a whirlwind, but I don't know. How's your week been? How's your weekend? Sebastian,
Yeah.
what'd you do?
What did I do? Nothing. Sorry. Boring.
Went from whirlwind to nothing.
Yeah. No, I think the highlight of the weekend was having dinner with some friends on Saturday night and getting a few drinks. And that was about it, I think. Yeah, no surfing, no nothing. Just trying to adjust to the life with a second kid. We're still in the adjustment phase right now.
Yeah.
I bet.
Yeah. And we have to feed him every 2 hours or every 2 or 3 hours. So you kind of can't do much. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And we have the other kid, Chloe, who's freaking out. She's getting like totally insane these days. So it's like a gigantic mess in here. And we fight, we mentally fight the breakdowns, the mental breakdowns. Like I'm constantly on the edge, man. My wife is the same. Like we're just right there, right on the edge.
But you're gonna look back on these days with fun
Right.
memories.
That's funny. Like earlier today, my wife was she was saying, "Hey, I'm gonna go pick up Chloe at daycare." And then I get on my knees and I was like, please don't. I don't want to have to deal with her right now. Because she's like such a pain right now. She's like, but I love her. And And as soon as you can get her entertained, it's good. But I'm not always in the mood for entertaining, or we don't always have the time to entertain her.
Right.
So, but when we do, when she's outside doing things or with other kids around, she's totally fine. Other than that, at the house, she's a pain. And hopefully that will stop soon.
She's 2 or 3?
She's 2.5.
Okay, so terrible 2s.
Still in the terrible 2s, yeah.
Yeah. She just, I tell her not to do something. Like she puts her fingers in her mouth, which I think is disgusting. And
she's a baby, Sebastian.
She's not a baby. She's 2.5, and she wasn't doing this. She's just started doing this again, and I'm like, I tell her, like, take your fingers off your mouth, especially when you've been playing outside. It's just disgusting, or like laying on the ground. So I tell her, like, take the fingers off your mouth, and she looks at me. She takes them off, and then I turn around, and she puts them right back. And I tell her, I'm like, I told you to stop. And she looks at me. She puts one hand in front of her eyes so she can't see me. And then she puts her other hand in the mouth. Like, she probably thinks that because she can't see me, I can't see her either. You know, like, she's just... I'm like, dude, I just told you not to do this. You look at me, close your eyes, and do it, hoping it's going to be okay. No, it's not okay.
That's funny.
Yeah, it's super irritating sometimes. So it's funny when you say it like this, but then when you have to deal with that 40,000 times a day, it's super annoying. Anyway, yeah, I love her.
I have a buddy actually that has a daughter right around that age, and she's just like that. It's almost like she knows she can get a rise out of him by deliberately disobeying, and then she kind of gets a kick out of it. She gives this little smirk, like, because I know I'm cute, and you can't do much about it. So
yeah.
Hilarious. So, Cody, what about your weekend?
Oh, man, I feel like nothing. I'm waiting to hear what your whirlwind is, but we didn't do much. I went to, the last couple of weekends, we've started going to like these, I don't want to call them flea markets because there's definitely not that, but they're like these large trade shows where people bring in like their homemade crafts and other people bring in their junk from their garage. And I look for stuff like I've picked up a few albums. I've started kind of collecting like albums from back in the day. And so I look for stuff like that. And there's other collectibles. And I don't know. It's just something we've kind of found out about. And we've been to some the last couple of days. We went to one on Sunday and it was okay. They had a lot of dogs, actually, a lot of puppies. And I think my girlfriend wants to get a larger dog here pretty soon. So we got to hold some puppies. And I guess that's always fun. But other than that, not much. It feels like we were kind of like homebodies the 2 nights. So on Netflix, we've been watching Office. We're kind of on a binge of watching The Office from season 1 all the way through. We're in season 4 right now, so.
Wonderful.
That's about as exciting as it gets. Okay, Cody, so flea markets and Office. Good job.
Flea markets, puppies, and Office.
What about you, Jeff?
Yeah, whirlwind.
I guess I kind of overstated it a bit.
But you hype something up? No way. No way.
I'll talk about a lot of it later, but I got a new monitor, 4K monitor, so that's nice. I got a desktop Retina display.
Oh, yeah. I saw this in the show notes. It says, make fun of Jeff time.
I traded my Retina MacBook Pro for a 15-inch Retina MacBook Pro. So moving on up, eventually I'll get to the Mac Pro.
Eventually he'll get back to the iMac he had originally.
Yeah, but I've done all this for pretty much free. Like, everything has been either super cheap or like really inexpensive. For instance, the 4K monitor was like $500, which is, if you know anything about 4K and how much they cost for a 60 hertz IPS panel, they can run up to the lower thousands. But this one was like $500. The Retina MacBook Pro is actually no charge because I traded that for the 13-inch. I don't know why someone would do that, but they did. And I also have a new iPhone, a $300 iPhone 5S that's in gold now.
And it was brand new, wasn't it?
Brand new. Still had like the little stickers on it.
Where did you get it?
How did you manage? Is it
Craigslist? Yeah. At first, all right. So I went to. I'll just be brief with the story, but I was looking on Craigslist today. At first, I found an iPhone 5C that I was going to get, But then
Right.
I got to thinking, do I really want to like go back to not having Touch ID at all? I don't really. So I started looking at Craigslist and just searching. I put in like T-Mobile and iPhone 5S, and there was tons of them out there. All of them wanted like 500, $600, crazy
Right.
amounts.
Normal amounts.
Yeah, but this lady, it was kind of shady. Like at first, I thought it might have been stolen, just
Oh, yeah.
because she still had an Apple ID in there, and then she was like, I don't remember the password, and the red flag went off immediately.
Right.
She's like, I don't remember the password. I'm thinking, well, iCloud's probably locked down the phone, so let me check this out. So I had my laptop with me. I ran the number, the ECID, I guess whatever number, and that came back clean. It wasn't reported stolen. I also went to Apple Care's website and ran the serial number of the phone, and that came back fine. And then I asked her to unlock the phone, turn off find my iPhone, because without doing that, it's pretty much worthless.
Right.
So she was able, actually, she put the password in. It didn't work the first time. I'm like, oh no, these are scammers. And then I asked her to try it again, and then it worked. So it legitimately was her phone. I actually saw her name badge, and it matched the name in the phone as well. So it was legit. Something that had happened where Apple ended up giving her a free phone, and she didn't need it. So she sold it for $300.
Wow.
So it's unlocked, $300. I mean, obviously these things retail for north
$650
of $600. Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Wow. Yeah, you got lucky too that it wasn't, because $300 for a new 5S definitely screams either scam or
Yeah.
you show up and the guy is acting pretty shady, maybe scratching his neck periodically.
And she was a little bit. She seemed a little bit shady, but then after a while, got to talk, and it was all good. I also got rid of my Galaxy S5 too. So
Oh.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, we're definitely gonna have to make fun of you here in a little bit.
Okay.
So.
Let's get to some news.
Yeah, because I thought that's what you were talking about when you said whirlwind. Because man, it's been kind of a crazy day, hadn't it?
Yes.
In terms of news, I mean, it seems like this happens a lot too. We're typing into iMessage or whatever, and we're going, hey, you guys ready to start the podcast? Yeah, give me 10 minutes, and then boom, Apple drops a new iOS beta or something big happens, and that's what happened today. Beta 4 came out of iOS 8. They also dropped, I believe, number 4 developer preview for OS 10 Yosemite, and then we got a new iTunes. iTunes 12 was out today, so it's in beta. It's
For developers,
but,
yes.
So, but still crazy, release after release after release, and the consensus is things are looking good, aren't they?
Things are looking really good. I'm so excited for iOS 8. It has completely changed the way I view Apple and their future going forward. And it's completely reinvigorated me to, like the desire that I had for Apple products when I first tried an iPhone is
Right.
sort of back. Like there was a lull in there at one point in time, but they're just killing it right now with iOS 8.
I can understand that with features like handoff. Boy, that looks super awesome, doesn't it? You open one app and you start it on your Mac, and then right away you can jump into it from your iPhone or other iOS device. Also, really looking forward to being able to like make and answer calls with your Mac and do like text messaging back and forth from your Mac too. Have you tried that yet at all? I know you're on the developer preview.
Somewhat, yeah. It's
Okay.
been a little fishy in the past previews, but
Right.
hopefully this one is the one that really gets the ball rolling as far as all the features coming together and working
Right.
together.
Yeah, they're kind of tightening things up. I mean, you have to assume that September is a little over a month away. We're getting close to, the final release of iOS 8, and then you got to think that OS 10 Yosemite is coming in maybe October, like it did last year. So we're getting close.
Yeah.
What'd you guys think of? Okay, so let's talk about this real quick. iOS 8, not many changes today. Definitely some tweaks here and there, but nothing really worth writing home about. I thought the biggest thing we saw today was iTunes 12. What do you guys think of this? It's kind of been redesigned a little bit.
I like it. I think it's slicker. I mean, the underlying functionality hasn't changed much, if at all.
No.
But the look of the app it just seems a lot cleaner, and it kind of goes along with the whole, cleaning up, making everything just look slicker and more straightforward, and the lines are kind of, it's not as busy looking. I guess that's the best word. So I really like it a lot. I like the icon too. It's pink now.
It's like pinkish orange. Yeah, I
Yeah.
really like the icon. What about you, Sebastian? What do you think of iTunes 12? Just from what we've seen.
Well, I've
Posted around the web.
Yeah, I haven't played with it or anything, so I don't really know. From the screenshots I've seen of it, it looks really good. And like Jeff mentioned, doesn't look like there's anything new under the hood, but it looks like it's gonna fit just right in Yosemite. So I'm pretty excited about that. Even though I'm not a big iTunes user, so I just use it when I have to use it, and that's
Yeah,
about it. So
right.
it's not gonna really impact my daily usage of the app or anything like that. But it's nice. It's a welcome change.
It's a shame that it doesn't look like functionality, like you guys said, has changed really any. Like the underlying, everything underneath the hood is still the same. And people still kind of have a problem with this app, right? They have for a long time. It started off as a music player, right? A music manager for the iPod. And it's since just kind of grown. They threw in the iTunes store, which I think a lot of people still argue needs to be completely separated into its own standalone app. And it's just, there's a lot of functionality they're trying to squeeze into one single app. So it feels bloated. But I think with sharpening some of the UI elements like they're doing right now with iTunes 12, I think will help, at least from a usability standpoint.
Yeah. Yeah, like Sebastian said, I'm just, it's very rare that I ever launch iTunes. Like the only time it launches is when it launches by accident when I plug my phone in and I forget to uncheck, do not launch this app.
Right? Isn't that so lame? Because I restore my devices pretty frequently, I forget to uncheck that right away.
Yeah.
And that happens, and you're like, no, I don't want you to sync anything, iTunes. Why can't you remember this setting forever?
Yeah.
It also launches when I click on links in, just on the web through Safari. I think there's a way to disable this, but I can't remember. But when I click on an app link, iTunes launches and loads the app, and I get mad at it.
It doesn't open up the web preview first?
Well, it opens up both.
Oh.
And so I've gotten to where I have to stop the web preview from loading all the way, just kind of right on the edge if I really don't want iTunes to launch.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know what the deal is. I don't know. I turned it off somehow on my last MacBook, but with this newer one, I haven't turned it
on
off yet.
Firefox, I get a little it opens up the web preview, and then I get a little pop-up saying, do you also want to open this in iTunes? Which is super annoying, and I have to hit cancel every time, or unless I want to open it in iTunes, obviously.
Right.
But so if I click on 10 links, this little window is going to pop up 10 times.
Wow.
Yeah, super annoying, and it stays there until you click cancel or OK.
Seems like you'd be able to disable that.
Probably, but I don't know how.
Well, yeah, you'd think so. I was thinking that I used to be a really big Chrome user, and I was thinking that Chrome gives you a way to completely avoid this altogether. There's something, some kind of setting you can change or something. But yeah, so I don't know how to do it in Safari though, and if anybody has any workaround tips, that would be appreciated. I use iTunes though. I don't like it in that instance, but I use it to watch like movies and stuff. I have tons of purchased content through there. I don't use it so much for music anymore because I've kind of switched all over to Beats. But yeah, iTunes is. I still use that to watch movies and stuff. And in addition, in addition to iOS 8 beta, Yosemite, iTunes, and all that, there was a nice little update for Apple TV. Now, I don't think this is on Apple's end. I think this was Netflix, but the Netflix channel was updated, or the Netflix app on Apple TV was updated, and it now finally, after I don't know how long, enables you to basically it'll auto skip to the next episode if you're watching a TV series. If you're in the middle of a season, like I mentioned earlier, we're in the middle of season 4 of Office, so if I play one episode, it plays all the way through, and at the end it'll just skip automatically to the next episode for me, which is huge, right? Because if you've ever been on their website or basically any other app on any other platform, it does this. But up until now with the Apple TV, you had to back out to the main episode list, which was 2 or 3 taps. A total process of probably 4 or 5 taps to play the next episode. So it makes things much easier now.
Yeah, and one of the things about the Apple TV that is just terrible is that users or the developers are forced to use or to stick with the specific interface style.
Right.
So that just makes the usability pale in comparison to other Netflix apps on other devices.
Oh, yeah. And I think I actually said something about that in the post, that it seems like developers' hands are really tied when it comes to the Apple TV. For some reason, Apple hasn't opened that up, and there's not much leeway. The Netflix app, in terms of features, is far behind what it is on other platforms.
Yeah, maybe they're just taking it one, like they don't want to put too many, you know, wear themselves too thin, basically spread themselves too thin. You know, they're
Right.
doing a lot of changes with iOS. There's obviously a new iPhone coming out, and they're doing a lot of changes on the Mac, and maybe this is just kind of tabled for now.
Yeah, because I mean, we've been hearing rumors of a new Apple TV for a long time, and nothing's materialized. We have no other evidence, and actually, we haven't heard talk about it in the last couple of months. It seemed for a while there in early 2014 that we were weeks away, almost months or weeks away from a new device or new software, even, and we haven't seen either.
Yeah.
So okay, I guess we should probably jump into our actual show notes.
Well, there was a new iTunes Pass service, and this is a Passbook little service that allows you to refill your iTunes credit. Not something I would ever
Not in
be.
a million years.
Yeah, but basically, it basically allows you to add a iTunes Pass from within the Passbook app, and then you could take that pass to your Apple Store, take your phone, open up Passbook to the local Apple Store, request an amount, and then the person there at Apple, one of the representatives, will be able to actually transfer that money, or you would be able to transfer that money to your Passbook or your iTunes Pass. Is that how it works? I mean, it's kind of...
I don't know. Yeah, that's how it works.
Okay. Well,
I don't know what the benefit. Like, can you take cash up there and do this? Is that? I don't know if that's what one of. I can't understand. I guess what the benefit is of this over just ordering an electronic iTunes gift card that you get in the email. You pop the code in. I mean, it seems like that's way less convoluted than driving to your Apple Store and going about it that way.
Yeah, I just don't understand this new feature or whatever you want to call this.
I feel like I'm missing something.
Yeah,
or
me too.
There's something that we're missing that we're just not getting, because
I think it's the cash aspect, the fact that you can take cash in, because right, you can't buy an iTunes gift card electronically with cash. Where do you put the cash? So I think it allows, if I'm a teen and I want to put some money in my iTunes account, and I don't have a credit card yet, I just give them money and at the Apple Store, and they'll do credit it that way. That's
right, yeah.
But why not just buy a
one
gift
way.
card? Like,
You can only buy in 10 and 15. I don't know.
Because if you're going to
That
buy
was a
a
really
gift
good question.
card, if you're going to buy a gift card and enter the code and all that stuff, I might as well give $20 to the
yeah, I guess
Apple guy, and he scans it takes the $20 and scans your passbook and upload $20 to it.
But you can take a picture of your gift card and do the same thing. Like, you can.
Right.
I don't understand. Like, where's the time savings in this? In this whole process.
Yeah, I don't. It was kind of weird. This launched late at night. Well, for us at least, over in Japan last week, and everybody reported on it. And then 2 or 3 days later, they started rolling it out. I know it's in the U.S. now, and Australia, and a few other countries. And that's the consensus too, right? From our readers who commented on those posts, and from what I've seen on Twitter, nobody's really going to use this thing, but maybe they see it as maybe a stepping stone, or Apple dipping its toe in the water in some kind of payment system. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe it's just a stress test. Potential.
That's possible. Maybe this is testing some kind of weird mechanism that we can't see, and it's part of a bigger plan. Who knows? Maybe it's at face value what it is, and we're just not going to use it.
I'm thinking maybe like other countries, maybe this will be more beneficial in countries where it's not so common to have credit cards, or it's not so, maybe there's different regulation on gift cards. I don't know. But
yeah, I mean, that actually makes more sense than anything we've said so far.
I think they're going to do this because they just can't.
Well, I mean, think of, I don't know how Asia is. I don't know China and places like that, but huge markets, maybe that aren't known for, the mass population doesn't have credit cards. This would be huge.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm on the post you wrote about this, Cody, and you have a screenshot in there of from the Apple website for iTunes Pass, Where do you get this? Where do you get this screenshot
I was
from?
wondering that too because it's the text is all messed up on that.
It's you go to apple.com/iTunes/gifts, I believe.
What I'm in there, and this. I mean, there is typos in this stuff in this screenshot.
I was wondering the same thing.
Like it sounds like it's translated from Japanese or something.
One timeout. Is this the one from on the Japan
No.
post?
Yeah, you know what? I think it probably is Babelfish translation.
I think it's a translate. I think, and if maybe I reuse the same screenshot, forgetting that that's a translated. That's translated because I know I use on the original post when it launched in Japan.
Yeah,
I took a screenshot of a page of Apple's webpage that had been translated into English.
Yeah, that's what
So
it is.
that's wow. So that's kind of embarrassing that I used it the second time on the US post. I can change that pretty quickly.
Okay, I'm gonna go in there and change it right now.
Okay.
Yeah.
So here's what it actually says. It says, now you can add directly to your iTunes or App Store account with iTunes Pass. To get an iTunes Pass, go to the iTunes Store on your iOS device, scroll down and tap the redeem button. Then go into any Apple retail store and let a specialist know you want to add credit to your account. Open iTunes Pass and Passbook and have the specialist scan it and accept your payment. Your balance will be updated and can be used immediately. See, I thought this would be more for like parents who wanted to control the kids' spending, but that already exists. Like there's already iTunes allowance possibilities right now without iTunes Pass. So I'm stumped as to why this is useful, but I'm not as smart as the people in Apple.
Maybe they're just trying to get it from all angles, right? They want your money any way they can take it. They want cash at the store. They want, So
yeah, why it doesn't hurt for sure. I mean, it's not going to. You get more foot traffic in store.
Yeah.
It won't hurt you. Yeah.
Maybe I'll have to try this out sometime next time I'm at the Apple store and see if anything reveals itself to me.
Yes, Cody, this is the reason why iTunes Pass exists.
Right.
Well, that's one feature I never use.
Yeah. Same.
You know
here.
what? I think I'm going to get me a new iPhone. I'm switching from Android because they had iTunes Pass. And that's something you'll never hear.
Do we have something a little more exciting to talk about today, please?
Well, I don't know if you call this more. I don't know. It depends on the person if this is more exciting, but I'm pretty jazzed up about this. I said jazzed up. Anyways, Apple and IBM kind of announced this huge partnership last week that I think took everybody by surprise. I don't think we saw one report or rumor saying that this was in the works, and they announced it in the afternoon. I want to say it was like Thursday afternoon or something, and basically they've committed to each other to work towards kind of revamping mobility software solutions or whatnot in the enterprise world. So they basically think that enterprise apps and software suites are way too complicated. Apple wants to make them as easy to use as consumer apps are now that we have on our iPhones, and IBM's all about that. I mean, it's kind of a natural partnership when you think about it. Apple's got the hardware and software integration down, and IBM's got the big analytics and the enterprise experience, and so the marriage works for sure. It'll just be interesting to see what comes of it, I guess.
This is huge. As someone who's been in corporate environments and who's had to deal with things like SharePoint and all these other like corporate applications that are just antiquated and horrible, and it actually makes you hate your job. This is big. This is a big deal. Like, I'm sure everyone in a corporate environment who's in IT probably just yelled for joy when they heard this, because it means that usability is finally going to take. It's going to take. Not so much placed on the back burner as it once was. Apple is all about ease of use, and combining that with IBM's analytics and their hardware, their big servers, their mainframe servers, and things like that. This is a big deal, and it also is a big deal because this is a whole new thing that's really untapped for Apple. It's a whole new venture that we talk about how market share there's not as much market share to go after now in consumer facing areas, but here in the corporate world there is a huge opportunity. There's tons of BlackBerries and tons of devices out there that people are using that this is just I don't know. Like the stock should be shooting up right now because it's a big deal.
You know, it's interesting because we've heard, I mean, it seems almost like every earnings call, Tim Cook touts that the iPad is being used in 98% of the Fortune 500, or maybe the iPhone's in 2/3 of the Fortune 500. But we don't know what the threshold is, right? For them to consider, okay, the iPad's infiltrated this Fortune 500 company. It could be 10. 10 people in a 10,000 person company could have iPads, and
Yeah.
okay, now we can count them. So this is them about scaling that up, right? I think, like you said, Jeff, this is it's an area for growth that Apple hasn't really tapped into yet. I don't think there's been a better time to do it. BlackBerry is still faltering, right? People are trading in their BlackBerries left and right. They're bleeding their corporate customers that they once were kind of king of, right? And then you've got Android, who is constantly being criticized for malware and security issues. So
Yeah, that's not
to have
gonna happen.
Apple and come in with a strong partner like IBM, I don't think there was a better time to make this announcement.
This is huge. I don't think this can be understated. Like how I don't think it should be understated that this is just a big deal. And not only that, but there's a trickle down effect. Like when you're in a corporate environment and you're using these devices day in and day out, and you're interfacing with Apple, Apple software.
Oh, sure.
and it makes an impression on you, and that can trickle down to your personal life, and it can trickle down to your family, and then it's good all the way around. I don't really see any negative to this at all.
Well, IBM's going to be selling iPads too, is what they said. Is it
iPads and iPhones, I believe.
iPads? Yeah, and they're going to have these solutions, right? These mobile software solutions ready to go, and just hand these over. So, I mean, when you have a company like IBM, nudging all of its corporate, its client partners, going, "Hey, this iPhone's got this awesome software. It's going to make stuff easier, streamline your workflow." I mean, that only good things I think can happen from this.
The big absent is the Mac.
True.
That's something you rarely see in corporations. I think I've seen like 2 of them in my last job.
Unless you're in San Francisco.
Right. Yeah.
If you're at a startup, everybody's got a Mac. But yeah, if you're in Chase Bank, nobody's using.
Yeah.
I mean, it's funny because Tim Cook has said several times, and I think he reiterated this last week in an interview, that he does like 80% of his work from his iPad, and he thinks everybody should be able to do that.
I don't believe Tim Cook.
I don't either, right? Like, can you imagine trying to run a company like that? Like, you can't even.
Well, to be fair, all he probably does is
Look at
email.
numbers all day.
He probably just does email and look at spreadsheets and go to a calendar app, and that's about it. He's a decision maker. He's not like typing reports and everything. So, but still, I doubt that the guy works, does 80% of his job on an iPad. I'd be
I think he can.
I'd be curious to know what the 20% remaining he doesn't do on the iPad is, though.
And where he does it.
Yeah.
I
I
don't
want
think
somebody
it's
to call
outside.
him. I want somebody to call him out, and that he'll be like, "All right, come follow me around for a couple days." And
I mean, the main thing he probably does is just look at like spreadsheets on,
pages,
What?
or not pages, numbers.
numbers. Yeah, like stock and inventory and price comparisons, and just streamlining the business side of things. I can't think of the name of his like former position. What was it? What was Tim Cook?
He was COO, chief operations officer.
So operations, anything to do with operations, and really there really isn't like, I don't know what apps they would be using for operations, but probably most of it is just like in spreadsheet, like data form, where he could, I guess, technically do most of his work from.
But if you think about the scale that their operations are, how big some of these spreadsheets would have to be, can you really just scroll through something with 20,000 data points in there on a little 9-inch screen? I don't know.
I'm sure they have their own internal software too. So,
Yeah.
I mean,
It'd be interesting to see what's installed on his.
yeah.
It'd be interesting to go through his home screens on his iPad. You see Flappy Bird tucked in the back.
I download blog bookmark.
So this is a big deal, and I think the software they said will start shipping as soon as, like the joint software will start shipping as soon as this fall, alongside the new iPhone and whatnot. So this isn't, hey, we'll revisit this next year. This is we're partnering up and it's happening, and we're shipping this year. So interested to see what comes of this.
We're slow today.
I think it was just such a busy morning that we're all just kind of.
I think it's my lack of coffee, actually. I need some coffee.
Jeff, what's the deal with that? Did you just say coffee to make for a better transition into the next topic?
You're supposed to just play off of it. Well, I'll let Sebastian handle this because he.
Oh yeah, he's the Starbucks aficionado.
Did you go this morning, Sebastian?
Yes, I did. Yes, I went this morning. Of course,
it's
I did.
Yes. What do you mean? Of course.
Why wouldn't I have gone? So what's the news about this? They're talking about letting you pre-order your drink via the Starbucks application, so that when you get in store, your drink is already there, ready, waiting for you, and it's already been paid for since it's for the application.
Right.
Awesome.
Well, yeah. I guess I'm not so much excited about the feature itself because I don't really care. There's not a huge line at my Starbucks, but it's about what it means as a whole. Like, I think this is pretty cool that, technologically speaking, you can be at home or on your way, order your drink exactly the way you want it, pay for it, show up there, don't say anything to anyone, grab the drink and go.
That's kind of a downer, though.
Well, if you're looking from the perspective that you're missing out on human interactions because you're not saying and you're not talking to people, I totally get it and I agree. But technologically speaking, this is really cool. And this is the future, once again.
And probably from a company perspective, like just streamlining how long before they don't need as many baristas hanging out as they do. I mean, that's kind of depressing to think about too, but...
Well, they still need the baristas to make the coffee.
Oh, yeah. I guess they don't really... I guess that wouldn't go until machines take that over too.
Yeah, but that's the beauty of Starbucks. It actually forces you, unless you go to the drive-through, but it forces you to have like some real interaction with real people. Like when you work from home, that is something that you really miss. At least I do anyway. And going into Starbucks is like a treat for me because it means, yes, I get to talk to nice people and smile at them and be normal, like a normal human being. But this, you walk in, you walk straight out. There's just something that seems wrong about it. But something obviously
sterile and cold.
Yeah, the technology is awesome. And it is awesome for those minutes or those times when you have when you don't have a lot of time, you just need to get in and get out. So you're running late somewhere, you need a coffee. That is awesome. But just hopefully people will use it sparingly.
So this will be pretty tough to pull off, right? I think I noted this in the post somewhere, but how do you avoid people winding up with cold cups of coffee? Like you have to coffee cools down pretty quickly. You have to make it at just the right time so when the person walks in, it's still piping hot and fresh. And how do you factor in for their delays? You know what I mean? Like I could order it thinking I'm on my way, but let's say there's a train and I have to sit and wait for this train for 10 minutes. I mean,
I don't know what kind of coffee you're drinking, man, but the one that I drink stays hot. I mean, it's too hot for me, but
well, okay. How long does it stay? I mean, coffee gets cold. How long does it take?
It takes 5 minutes until it starts, I think, losing its temperature.
So 10 minutes. I mean, I'm just saying it will be tough to pull off from that perspective. I want fresh, hot coffee when I get there, but you've got to predict how long it's going to take me to get there, kind of deal. Like I don't know. I guess
maybe they'll use like location,
or maybe they'll use something like some other on Chipotle. I think you can say I'll pick up my order at 7:35 or 7:45 or 7:40.
Or it could outright prevent you from ordering unless you're within a certain distance from the store you want to.
I don't think that's going to happen.
Or you could order it.
Experience.
Or you could order it. Okay, you could be at your house. Say the Starbucks is 5 miles down the road. You could order it at your house, but it would not actually submit the order until you get 2 miles away or something close. You know what I mean?
Now this is really cool, but I don't think that's going to work. I'm positive it's not going to work like this. But I like how you're thinking. This is pretty cool.
And I think what's even cooler about this whole project is some of the comments this guy made. Let's see here. This is Starbucks chief digital officer Adam Brotman, who you have to think has done a great job. I feel like the Starbucks app is kind of leaps and bounds ahead of where most are. Not Chipotle, obviously, because they've already done the mobile ordering. But I just think that Starbucks is pretty advanced, right? And I think they say they have 15% of their U.S. purchases are coming from this mobile app and mobile payments. So, but it's cool what he says about the project. He said this is the most cross-functional team he's ever worked with, and this is the most important projects he's ever worked with. And it's this comment that really gets the brain juices flowing. He says, "We want to get mobile ordering right first, but you could be hearing more about us in the mobile wallet and universal loyalty space sooner than later." So Starbucks has plans beyond paying, coffee pickup service. They're thinking bigger here. It's super cool.
Like you said, they've always been on the forefront of mobile payments through their partnership with Square. They also, as far as I know, they're the only place where I can pay using Passbook. I'm sure there are also stores where I can pay for something using Passbook, but Starbucks is the only one I can think of right now. I think this is remarkable. I think it is. I think it is cool.
So, and they say this isn't an experiment. They plan to do a hard rollout across all of its stores in the U.S. and they're going to first test it out, I think, in an undisclosed market. It said towards the end of this year. So this isn't, hey, look at this concept for a 5-year plan. This is, we're on it right now.
And recently, too, it's kind of off topic, but still on Starbucks, they've said they're going to be starting to implement wireless mobile pads, wireless charging pads on their tables in coffee shops. So they're going to be installing under the tables some wireless charging pads, so that if you have a phone that's compatible with this technology, obviously, you'll be able to put your phone on the table and it's going to charge your phone.
Right.
This is really cool.
I'm glad you brought that up, because that's just another way that they're kind of moving forward in the technology space. Now, iPhones aren't compatible outright, obviously, but there's tons of cases, third-party add-ons that you can slip onto your phone, and that'll make them compatible with these type of chargers. Mm-hmm. And it's cool because from what I've seen, they're under the tables. So you don't actually see a pad. You just put your phone down on the table in a certain spot, and it's charging. I mean, how cool is that?
That is super cool.
So,
I would say it's super duper cool.
Super duper cool. I was gonna say thumbs up to them for pushing the envelope. I feel like you're gonna feel outdated going into any other place, really.
Some people, I think, will always like the outdated places where they pay with cash and talk to people and don't have to charge their phones, because the coffee shop is a place where you shouldn't bring your phone in the first place. It's a place to meet people and socialize. And
everybody knows your name.
Yeah.
Sometimes you want to go.
If I had to guess who was going to start singing the theme song, it would have definitely been Jeff.
And you're always glad you came. Boom, boom, boom. You want to... Okay, stop.
Okay.
I want to hear some rumor about the iPhone 6. Please, Cody, please feed me more rumors.
Right? We haven't seen enough of these, so we definitely need more. No, obviously it's been pretty crazy the last few weeks with iPhone 6 rumors. We've seen leaks, part leaks, analyst predictions. I mean, you name it, we've seen it. And because like we said, September is just a month away, so we're definitely getting close. So the folks over at nowhereelse.fr, it's a French Apple site, they kind of conducted this poll, right, of a bunch of the tech sites. Well, I guess just a few this year, but I mean, it's something they do every year. And they polled BGR, Apple Insider, and then us, iDownloadBlog. And they came up with like kind of a roundup of what the most popular rumors are for the iPhone 6. And they gave it a percentage based on the data from all these sites on what the likelihood is of something to happen. So, for example, I'm looking at it now.
The 4.7-inch screen size
is 100%.
Percentage of chances of this happening, 100% of chances.
Right. And that's not a surprise.
That's still kind of bold, though.
It is kind of bold.
It's not
right?
out yet, right? I mean,
all the parts we've seen leaked, the front covers, the shells, all of these, I mean, we've seen them in people's hands, and we've seen them compared to other devices. Everything kind of points to this, right? This is
should be
what we have the most evidence on.
Yeah, but it should be 99%.
Well, technically, like to be clear, when I sent our percentages, I said 90% because I didn't put anything at 100% because you're never sure what's going to happen.
know it.
You know, unless you have some very, very, very solid sources at Apple, you don't know what's going to happen. So,
Teardrop anyone?
so what are some of the other highly possible?
Highly possible. 75% is a better front-facing camera, which, I mean, that seems like a given, right? As popular as selfies have kind of become over the last year or two. I mean, I feel like they've been popular for a long time, but they've really hit mainstream in the last year or two. And then let's see, 75% of the actual screen resolution. People are pretty confident in 1704 by 960 screen resolution. So
85% for an improved Touch ID sensor.
also seems like a given, right? Second generation, things always get better
Right.
with age. 95% for ultra slim iPod Touch-like design. Again, this is something we've seen so many times in leaks that I think it's just the consensus is these are all legit.
10% on the glowing apple logo.
Yeah, I was gonna say now on the flip side, you have like the very unlikely to happen and the glowing Apple logo, 10% chances of this happening. Yeah,
I can't believe so many people. It seems like a lot of people are in that boat thinking that's going to happen. I just can't imagine. Like,
I
battery life is
cannot
already
imagine.
terrible for
Exactly.
the iPhone, and not to mention it look tacky. I mean, I've seen mods where this is done right, where there's a logo that lights up in the back of the iPhone, and I don't think it looks
Terrible.
classy or sharp or anything.
I have to say though, this infographic is beautiful. It is so well done.
It's done very well. Yes, definitely.
It's one of the best ones I've seen.
Yeah, it's done very well.
But I was surprised that wireless charging was so low, and I mean, we really don't have any evidence that wireless charging is on the menu, right, for the iPhone 6. We've heard a few analyst reports that think it's coming, but I don't know. I just think like this is something Apple would hop on sooner than later, right? I mean, because of stuff like the Starbucks store we were just talking about. I don't think that's the only instance of that we're gonna see in the next few years, and I would think Apple would want to be on board.
Yeah.
What else do we have? Sorry, I was texting my wife. Better from where is the back camera in here?
55% that it's over 8 megapixels.
Yeah,
That's tough.
that's the what we've heard like some conflicting reports. Some of them said it's going to be 8 megapixel, but better software with image stabilization. Some of them said 13 megapixel with image stabilization. Some of them said optical image stabilization will only be for the 5.5-inch screen model. So very conflicting reports here. It's hard to take these rumors and try to make sense of, well, not to make sense, but to say what's going to happen or not, because there's been so many conflicting evidence.
Agreed. Because you could say, hey, Apple's not in the megapixel race. They're going to make other adjustments. But at the same time, if they've gotten their hands on a better sensor that takes better photos and they can do it for the price that they want to do it for and still keep their, their total build or whatever, the cost of building under what they need it to be, they would do it, I think. They'd definitely pull the trigger.
NFC capabilities.
Or only at 20%.
20.
You know, it's funny. This pops up right before every iPhone, and we've had some kind of more serious, not just rumors, but a report I think came from Nikkei, a pretty highly regarded news outlet that said that Apple was already making deals in China for NFC mobile payment system, and that basically saying, yeah, this iPhone's going to have NFC to work with that. And I think another Morgan Stanley or what's her name, Katie Huberty, I think. She came out. I mean, she's been accurate on some stuff before. She came out and said NFC for sure. So I don't know. It seems kind of low, but at the same time, we've heard this rumor over and over again, and it's never materialized.
To really quote her properly, she said NFC for shizzle. She said.
She said that's happening. DATS.
Hey, what about the over 1 gig of RAM here?
I don't know. I hope that 80%.
I
is
hope
on.
that is.
I'm tired
right,
of my
man.
tabs in Safari refreshing.
Oh my
every time
goodness.
I close out of an app, so I'm hoping that they do something about that.
It should have 2 gigs in RAM. It shouldn't just have 1.
At
but
minimum 2 gigs.
It's
I think
ridiculous.
I hate to play the specs game, but I think some of the Android phones are doing 3 or 4 gigs now. I mean, they probably need it just because of the kind of clunky relationship between hardware and software. But come on, Apple, I'm tired of my pages refreshing.
Yeah, that's super annoying, man. Like when you're on
this
iPad.
is what
and
would
you
help it, right?
Yeah, that would definitely
Okay.
help it.
Definitely.
I was making sure I was talking about the right thing because that is super annoying. One of probably the most annoying things about browsing the web on my phone.
Or when you have to do some sort of research, for example, and you're going from tab to tab or switching between tabs on iPad, this is just so bad. More often than not, I'm just grab my MacBook Air and start doing work there. When I try to do something kind of semi-productive on the iPad, it just spoils it for me. It just not spoils it, but it just messes it up for me.
Yeah.
Right.
So yeah, it's nice infographics. If you haven't seen it, if you're interested to see what is the consensus of probabilities of these rumors happening for the iPhone 6, we have the link in the show notes, or you can easily find it on IDB as well. It's a very nice infographics for sure. Some time was spent on this one. I believe I think Steve from nowhere.fr texted me this morning. I forgot about that until now, saying they had a video now of all these rumors. Like,
Oh, wow.
put up in the video. I actually haven't seen it. I'm just clicking on it right now. I totally forgot about that. So it's probably very well done too, I would assume. This guy has a good eye for aesthetics. So, yeah. So that's it for that.
Well, before we move on, I thought just because I'm seeing the sapphire crystal made front panel at 60%, I thought this was interesting. Over the weekend, we've seen tons of like scratch and durability tests, right, on these so-called sapphire front covers that are said to belong to the iPhone 6. This one, though, kind of took a different approach, more scientific approach. Instead of just trying to scratch it with a knife or keys, they went with sandpaper, right? Because, I mean, they kind of went into, I don't want to go into too much detail, but there's a Mohs scale of hardness for minerals. And true sapphire is up in like the 8 or 9 area. And a knife is like 5.5. A steel tip knife is on like 5.5. And so obviously there's no way this is going to scratch it because, I mean, a lower number can't scratch a higher number. And so I believe Gorilla Glass 3 is at around the 6 mark, maybe a little bit above a 6. And so the steel knife wouldn't even scratch Gorilla Glass. So they did some tests. Long story short, they don't think it's pure sapphire that these things are. They think maybe it's some kind of combination, like a hybrid between maybe whatever Gorilla Glass was using, and then Apple's put on a sapphire coating to make it that much more durable. I thought it was pretty interesting. So, I don't know. I mean, Apple has this big plant, right, out in Arizona that's making tons of sapphire. So, I guess I'm more interested to see what they're going to do with it. It doesn't look like we're getting full screens yet. Just maybe some kind of hybrid that uses a little bit of it.
Speaking of this plant, I'm making a killing on this little stock GT Advanced Technology.
Are you really?
Yeah.
Did you jump in like at the initial rumor?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
man, I wish I
didn't put my retirement in there, but I should have because I would have doubled it by now.
Wow.
Yeah, it's doing really good, and it keeps going up. I mean, it has its ups and downs, obviously, like everybody, but yeah, it's
like $14 right now.
Yeah.
What did it start at?
I think I got it at 7. And I was late because I actually didn't get on it as soon as at SAP. I waited like as usual. I always wait. But yeah, it's worth. I don't know.
You didn't do too bad though. I mean, it started right around 7, I guess, and
No, I'm telling you, I doubled the money so far.
yeah.
Man,
Yeah.
I wish I would have gotten in there first. I wish I would have gotten in Facebook when I initially wanted to get into Facebook.
Yeah.
I think everybody was worried that they weren't going to figure out how to make money, but they've definitely figured it out. And I would have made money on both investments.
I got some Facebook and I'm doing pretty good, but I also have some Twitter and I'm doing terrible, man. I'm so pissed.
Oh.
I did the worst on the first financial earnings for Twitter. I was like, oh man, I'm sure they're going to do very good. They're going to announce more users, more time spent, more advertisers, more of that stuff. So I pretty much doubled down on Twitter like the day before their first quarterly earnings. And then their first their first financial earnings were terrible. Like
they
they were
kinda
like,
took a
"Oh,
bath,
we
yeah.
don't have any users. We can't grow. We can't make money. We're terrible." And
Basically, you should just sell us.
yeah, and the stock took a dive, and I was like overnight, I lost so much money. I was like, no, it's coming back though. I'm confident that a company like a stock like Twitter, it's not gonna go away. You know, it's gonna go up. It's Twitter, Facebook. They're kind of sure bets. You know, they're the
Right.
McDonald's of 15 years ago or the Microsoft of 20 years ago. It's kind of stuff that's here to stay. So I'm confident. Still
Well-
very depressing though when I see the numbers.
Facebook, I mean, think about Facebook though from an advertising standpoint. They know everything about you. They know what you like and hobbies and things like that. Twitter doesn't have that luxury, so I'm anxious to see what they figure out in terms of advertisement. I mean, I've seen sponsored posts and things like that, but I don't think they have that they don't have that edge that Facebook has. So, yeah, it'll be interesting.
Next on the docket.
I put this on here just because, I mean, obviously she always does a great job with these app roundups. Lori did over the weekend best email apps for iPad, and I like this because you split up iPhone and iPad apps because some may be good on iPhone and not good on iPad or vice versa. And I just I guess more or less wanted to see what you guys use for your email apps on iPad. So Sebastian, what are you using right now?
The StockMail application. That's what I use on iPhone. That's what I use on iPad. And
Have you tried others? Have you?
I think I
Or just had no
I don't
reason
think
to,
I
or-
have. I don't think I have. I'm gonna be honest. I don't think I have, and I don't have the need for it. Like the stock application works great for me. Seriously, like I've never said to myself, "Oh, I wish it would do this or that." It just works good. With iOS 7, search and the mail application too is really, really good. It can find some very old emails that before I would have had to go to Gmail to find them out or something. So yeah, I'm still using the stock application and I'm loving it, every minute of it.
And I'm loving it. Okay, what about you, Jeff?
I use Gmail now. And there's really one reason, and that's pretty much all there is to it. Just with aliases, like they don't work very well in the StockMail app. And that is a problem with me because I have tons of email addresses and I need to be able to, like I have an email address dedicated to Craigslist, and then I have, of course, my IDB email address, and then I have my personal email address, and then I have my business email address, and all these addresses that all somehow filter through Gmail.
Why do you
that
create
use
so many email addresses? Why don't you minimize?
Because I like to keep business and work and things like that separate from my personal life. Like I don't want people, just because I know you in personal life, I don't want you meddling into what I do for business. Because, like, say for instance, I have my one email account that I use for both business and for personal, and I email you on my business. I email you. I just send you an email because we're friends in real life. Not that we aren't friends
In real life.
Not, you know what I mean. But then all it would take you to do is just to Google that email address, and then bam, you see everything that I do for work. Or I just like to keep that separate, and that's just me personally.
But you can have like a personal and then a work, and that's what I do. I mean, that's what I have 2 email addresses. Well, technically, I probably have 20, but on my phone or on the iPad, there's IDB and personal is personal, and IDB is everything work. And then I guess you could have like a third one for other project related stuff that are not work per se, and that are not IDB, but that are not personal. I don't know.
Right. Well, that's pretty much what I have. And then I have like a Craigslist throwaway account that I use strictly for Craigslist and nothing else, because I don't want anyone on Craigslist knowing my email address. It's a funny story though. Like when I sold something today on Craigslist, this guy, he was very kind of pushy, and he was like, "I need your address." I'm like, "What?" He's like, "I need you to write your address down just in case something happens with this or something like that." I'm like, yeah, okay. Yeah, he didn't get my address. So
You
he wanted
do a fake one?
yeah.
That's weird.
It wasn't fake. It was like my PO box. So
Oh, okay.
yeah, have fun with that. Anyway.
Anyways,
So that's the reason why I use the Gmail app, because it just makes, like, you can easily select who you want to send the email from, what address you want to send it from. I know you can do that in roundabout ways on the mail app, but it's just not as good, I don't think. So what do you use, Cody?
Well, I don't know, because in iOS 7 too, it's smart. iOS 7 gets smarter in the mail application. We mentioned this before. If I'm emailing you from my IGB email address, if I email you several times, then iOS 7 is smart enough to understand that it should always email you, no matter what, from this email address. So
Yeah.
if you have like a personal email and you email your mother-in-law from this all the time, or after like 3 or 4 times, when you create a new email, automatically when you put your mother-in-law email address in there, it's gonna use your email address that you've used the most for that. I don't know. I'm not trying to convince you. I guess I'm
Well,
just.
well, here's another instance of why I like the Gmail app. It's like, all right, if I have an account that already has aliases added to it within Gmail itself, like say I have my primary account and then I have several aliases created under that account in gmail.com, then whenever I add that to my iPad in the Gmail app, all those aliases follow me. When you do that on the Mail app, you have to set it up for every single device you have. And that's super annoying, especially me when I'm testing devices over and over and always performing reinstalls and stuff like that of iOS. It just doesn't work. I waste way too much time trying to reestablish my emails and aliases and then have to make sure everything works right. Well, with Gmail, it automatically works. I just log in and all my aliases are there.
I see what you're saying.
so aliases is why you're such a Gmail fan.
And
I guess.
really, when you say alias, you really mean alias, right? It's not really it's not really an email address, but it's if I send you an email at alias@jeff.com, you're gonna get it in your mail inbox, right? And you can reply from this alias.
Exactly.
But you can't technically. Yes, can you send an email from that alias?
Yes. I mean, I'm sure if you looked like in the headers, deep in the headers, you might find something, but most people aren't going to know how to do that anyway. And it doesn't really bother me. But I think it appears that it comes from just my normal email address, whatever email address I select.
Okay.
Cody.
Well, I think you know what I'm going to say.
Mailbox.
Mailbox, yeah.
Yeah, and again, it's just for the reason I've named on iPhone before. And it's funny because I feel like I get not a ton of email, but I get more than I would like. Probably 20 messages a day. I'm sure it's funny because I'm sure Sebastian gets tons more. I can't imagine why. I mean, Mailbox is so great for getting rid of things. I mean, because you can delete a message with a swipe. And I think as it stands right now in iOS 7, it's a swipe tap for delete. And I think they improved this in iOS 8 to just a swipe, which will make me reconsider the stock mail app. But for right now, that's a 2-step process versus a 1-step process. And I mean, when you talk about doing this over hundreds of emails, it saves you a little bit of time. So I like that you can swipe to delete, and I like that you can swipe to put into a folder. So I've made folders like receipts. It's like when I get an email from iTunes saying I just bought something, I swipe to the left, tap the receipts folder. I mean, it's just super quick. And, so I've been on that because it works so good on iPhone. It came to iPad. It looks really good there too. But I'm looking at some of these on the list that Lori made, and they look interesting, like Hop kind of turns your mail into like a messaging platform. It looks more like text messaging than it does actual email. Boxer looks cool. A lot of people in the comments seem to be a fan of, is it Mail? Where did I see this at? Mail Me or Me? No, My Mail. My Mail, a few people are proponents of that one. So I don't know. I'm always in favor of trying to improve my workflow. So
I would not use any other app but the Gmail app. Just if I had to use another app, it would be the stock mail app. Because I feel like every other app, and I know you're going to disagree with me, Cody, and I understand why you would, but I just feel like every other app is just like a gimmick.
Do. I mean, yeah, they have gimmicks. But have you tried a bunch of these? I know Sebastian said he hadn't, but
actually, I tried. I think I had tried Mailbox, and then I remember going into my Gmail account online on the desktop and seeing all the folders that this crap had created into my Gmail account. You know, it creates folders for
Right.
when you postpone, when you, how do you call this? You, not postpone, but when you say remind me later kind of thing about this email.
Right.
And he had created a bunch of folders and I was like, whoa, wait. No. I worked really hard to make it make this very clean. And then
I can actually hear you saying that out loud, looking at your iPhone. No, wait, stop! What are you doing here?
No. And then I did the same thing the other day. I tried AirMail on the Mac because I've been using Sparrow on Mac and I really like it. But I'm like, this app is getting old and there has to be better options out there. And I tried AirMail and I didn't really, there was like one thing that really annoyed me, like how I couldn't put things in folders as quickly as I am in Sparrow. Anyway, it did the same thing. It created a bunch of folders. I was like, no, come on. I just want you to get into my emails and let me do the rest. Let me take care of the folders. Don't create new folders for me. I don't like that. I do not like that. Anyway.
It's funny. So I don't. I'll revisit the stock app when iOS 8 comes out because in addition to swipe to delete and some other stuff, there's some goodies coming. It looks like.
Yeah.
Oh man, that's
Okay.
some downtime here.
That's okay.
You can tell like when we do this later than usual. It's
Well, if you use Marco Arment's new Overcast app, then you won't have to worry about that because it eliminates the downtime.
really?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Smart. Is it Smart Speed?
Yeah, I believe that's what it is. It's pretty cool, actually. I really like that app. And
I do too. Well, let's make fun of you first, Jeff, and then we'll talk about our app downloads.
make fun of me. Why would you want to make fun of me?
Jeff, it says it in the show notes. You know, I'm not. It says let's make fun of Jeff.
There's a note to purposely make fun of you here. So.
Yeah, I have to follow the docket here. I have to follow the. So, anyways, you kind of explained it earlier. And for folks who haven't been tuning into the show regularly, Jeff at one time had this top of the line 27-inch iMac, just insane, all maxed out. And then he started on this road to minimalization, and eventually got down to, believe it or not. Okay, so you actually had a big monitor too with this 27-inch iMac. So imagine like the most high-end machine, two huge, probably close to 30-inch monitors, and he eventually got down to a tiny little 11-inch MacBook Air. And we all thought he was crazy because he's our resident video editor expert and podcast editor. And we thought he, of all people, needed a huge machine. But he told us for months, no, I'm so happy with this Air. It takes a little bit longer, but, I'm being so minimal right now. I like just having just this by itself. And so he had this huge empty desk, just this little tiny MacBook. And I guess he eventually got tired of it. Because what did you go from that to back up to a MacBook Pro 13-inch?
I
Yeah,
seem to
that
think
was
so.
your first step.
I've had so many. I've probably had 20 or 30 MacBooks in the last 5 years.
Oh man, that's right, because you went from the 27-inch iMac to the 15-inch MacBook Pro down to the 11-inch MacBook Air.
There's
you went
like
back up
2
to
or
the
3 more
13-inch.
MacBooks in there somewhere.
And you went back up to the 13-inch MacBook Pro that was more recent. And
3 or 4 Mac
now-
Minis. 3 or 4 Mac Minis in there too.
Now where are you at? What does your setup look like right now?
I have a 15-inch Retina MacBook Air with 16 gigs of RAM.
Pro.
And MacBook Pro.
And is it maxed out? Is it pretty, or did you
It-
just get the base model of that one?
It's not the base model. It does have 16 gigs of RAM. I think it comes with 8, but you can get 16. So it has 16 gigs of RAM, and I think it has like the second fastest processor, and it only has 256 gigs of solid state drive space, which
Right.
really doesn't matter. As long as you have enough to boot off of, you're good. So yeah, I mean, it's it's up there as far
Right.
as it's close to the fastest laptop you can get from Apple.
Okay, and so you have that hooked up to your 4K monitor. How big was that again?
This 4K Dell monitor is 24 inches diagonal.
Okay.
So it's not as big as the 27-inch, but I'm actually glad because I didn't like the fact that the 27-inch was as big as it was. That was one of my complaints. I know Apple used to have a 24-inch, I think iMac. Didn't they have a 24-inch iMac? And I missed.
I think they stopped that in 2009.
Yeah, so that was the one I actually wanted because it was like that sweet spot between the 20-inch MacBook or iMac and the 27-inch iMac. So yeah, this one definitely fills the void. It is 24 inches. It is absolutely stunning to see in person. And it is Retina. So basically what that means is that I run, it's 3840, I believe, by 2160, which is 4 times the pixels of 1080p.
Right.
And but what you do is it's actually the actual available resolution is 1080p. It's basically 1920 by 1080, which is it's a decent amount of resolution. But the reason why that is because everything's bumped up 2 times, like it's pixel doubled, just like on your Retina display on your iPad or your phone, everything's pixel doubled as well. So you get really sharp text, like sharp as a Retina MacBook Pro or your Retina display on your iPad, but you get the benefit of having it on a very large monitor and a lot more space. So it has more available space than even like a Retina MacBook Pro 15-inch.
So is it 60 hertz? Is the refresh rate on that?
Yes, and that is a big deal because a lot of these monitors out there, the 4K monitors
20.
that are cheap, are at 30 hertz. They max out at 30 hertz, which is horrible. You don't want that. And actually, that is the primary motivation behind me upgrading from the 13-inch Retina to the 15-inch, because the 15-inch has Iris Pro graphics, Intel's much hyped and deservedly so, their new integrated graphics, which is almost as fast in a lot of applications as the previous gen Retina MacBook Pro with a dedicated graphics card.
See, I had the 15-inch with the standalone NVIDIA card.
Yeah.
And that's the one thing I probably miss about it. And was always curious why they decided to do away with that.
Well, see, you have the 13-inch Retina, right?
No, that's what I have now. I have a late, whatever. I have the latest model of the 13-inch MacBook Retina right now.
Yeah.
I had a 15-inch MacBook Retina last year, and it had the standalone NVIDIA card.
Yes, that is a huge thing. That's nice to have, but see, the Iris Pro graphics almost eliminate the need to have that. Like, unless you're gaming, really is no reason why you need that that dedicated card now, because in a lot of benchmarks, it is neck and neck with the previous gen dedicated card. And this new gen dedicated card is only an overclocked version of the previous gen, so it's not like this huge bump from the 650M to the 750M NVIDIA card.
Right.
So if you would have gotten, I don't know your reasoning behind going with the 13-inch, but I'm sure it was a good one. If you would have gotten the 15-inch Retina MacBook Pro with the Iris Pro graphics instead of just the Iris graphics, then you would have probably not noticed much of a difference at all.
Right. But see, the thing was, with the 15-inch, it was available. That standalone card came on the base model. So you didn't have to upgrade it. It just came with.
It did? I don't remember that. Yeah. I guess it did.
I'm positive. So I think that's what I meant by I don't know why they did away with that on the base model. But
yeah. Well,
anyways, so you're not a gamer. You don't game on the Mac at all.
No, but the thing is, this Iris Pro runs games like at high settings. A lot of they're not the latest and greatest games. Like, you're not going to run Crysis at ultra high settings and get anything over 20 frames per second. But you can run decent games at medium to high settings and get a decent frame rate. It's actually pretty amazing that Intel is able to pull this off, and it actually works. Like, this isn't just a gimmick. It's not like the old integrated HD 4000 integrated graphics that were terrible. And you couldn't even, if you thought about gaming on it, it would just shut down and crash on you.
Right.
This one,
it's like gaming.
Yeah. This one actually works. Like, this is not a gimmick. It actually works, and I'm super impressed. And I didn't want the integrated graphics because, number one, I think that was the reason I had so many failures with the Logic board, because it got so hot. And I think a lot of users had failures with the Retina MacBook Pros because it had that integrated graphics, and it did not have the heat. It couldn't displace the heat adequately enough, and it caused failure on the Logic board. So I wanted to definitely bypass that, because I'm going to be keeping this thing probably for the next 10 years. So
you had to know that we were going to say something to that.
You should have kept this for the joke section.
Because I guarantee if we went back to podcasts from, I don't know, earlier this year or late last year, you definitely said, oh, I'm going to keep this MacBook Air for a long time, like 5 years. Even when you went to the 13-inch MacBook Pro, you're like, oh yeah, this is it. This is my machine. 5 years. I hate that people trade in their devices so often, and
I do. I really do. It's like I don't know what the word is for it, but there's like it's a fantasy. Like it's the idea of it is very sexy, I guess you could say. The idea of like hanging, it's like you marry your wife and you're with her for the rest of your life. That's just the thought of that is a nice thought to me. It's almost like the same thing. I'm not comparing my wife to a MacBook, but it's almost like the same thing. Like the idea of, oh, I'm hanging on to this piece of hardware, it's getting nicked and dinged, and it's just that's very romantic to think about that. Like think about it like that.
I'm not comparing. Oh,
But
the fact that you had to say that, I'm not comparing my wife to a MacBook was hilarious to me.
But in reality, it just doesn't work that way. And I've matured enough in the last few months to realize that, hey, I need to grow up and stop, playing games, because that's basically what it is. It's just silly. Like, get what you need to do your job effectively and do it. And that's kind of the realization that I've come to. I could not do it effectively, and the projects that I'm working on do require that I have a screen and a dedicated keyboard that I can type on without having insane hand cramps and things like that. So that is the motivation behind it.
Sebastian's over there like, I have a 2010 iMac. You're still waiting on that Retina iMac.
Dude, and I just took off my headphones right now because I'm hearing like some weird noise, and I'm taking off my headphones, and the iMac is burning hot, and some stuff is going crazy inside there. Like it's like, I swear to God, my iMac gets so hot in the back, like the top. When I face it, the top left. And the behind it gets burning hot, so hot that you wouldn't be able to touch it for 2 seconds without getting really burned. That's how hot it gets.
I know exactly what you're talking about. The 27-inch, I think I actually did a video on it. And did I try to put like a piece of egg on it or something like that and try to see if it would turn
I thought
white?
I remembered you saying something about your older iMac doing something crazy with it too, Jeff.
It sounded like an actual jet engine. It was that loud. It was so loud I couldn't do videos, and I couldn't do voices on videos. I couldn't talk on them until it calmed down. It will fry an egg. I'm absolutely sure of it. Like if you it may not fry it, but it would turn like the little liquid white where the egg white is. It would do that. You should test it out, Sebastian.
Well, when I'm gonna get rid of it, I've been thinking a lot about this, and as soon as the iMac preloaded with Yosemite hits the stores, I'm gonna get one of those.
Dude, no, don't do that.
And then 2 months
Why are you
later,
doing
they're
that?
going to say
Why?
Retina iMac is now available.
Why?
No, don't do that. Don't do that.
Why?
All right, well, never mind. You don't use a Retina MacBook Pro. That's kind of what I'm thinking. Like I forget you use that MacBook Air, right?
I have a MacBook Air, yes.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I guess that's okay.
And I don't want to have a laptop that's the brain. I want to have a desktop and I want to have a laptop. I don't want to have a laptop that's my only computer that I would plug into a keyboard and a monitor. Like that's, I don't know. That's not how I want to work. I want to have my desktop computer and I want to have my laptop, and
I understand that.
yeah. So that's what I want to do, and I'm sure hoping that when that happens, they're not going to announce an iMac with Retina display like 3 months later, because I'm going to be pissed. I'm going to be sending letters.
So you will not you would never entertain the idea of getting like a 4K monitor and just running Retina like that.
Like what you're doing, basically?
Yeah.
No.
Okay.
No, that is not in my foreseeable future. No. And I like having my stuff up there, and I have my laptop downstairs. And if I need to do something really quick, I can grab my laptop downstairs. It's just right there. It's pretty much always on. I just flip the lid open and it's here. And I don't know. I don't think. I mean, I'm sure I would make it work, but that's not something.
You just don't have to.
No.
And it's interesting you say that, because I'm very much thinking that sometime this fall or maybe early next year, of moving to a iMac on the desk with the external monitor and then a laptop somewhere else, maybe downstairs or something. So
See, with you guys, I think it's easier to have that setup, because when you don't like you're not doing super intensive things that
Right.
would require like if I try to well actually I did that for like months. Never
yeah, you
mind.
did. Yeah, you
Anyway.
can't really talk. You ran an 11-inch air for.
Yeah, I have no room to talk about
It's so
anything.
funny too because I pictured Jeff listening to me and Sebastian talk about iMacs, and he's like writing down like I could probably get this iMac. In like 2 months, we're gonna hear that he has a new iMac setup. You guys make a good point. iMacs would be pretty good.
So, Cody, you're
what-
saying you would want to have an iMac plus another monitor?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
I mean, I just like the real estate space. I always have. I mean, I'm just looking at what I have open right now. I have the notepad with the show notes. I have the web browser open. Skype's open. GarageBand's open. Our new HipChat client is open. I've got Twitter client open.
Yeah.
And this just, I mean, you don't always have to have these things up and running, but sometimes, I mean, a lot of times I have a lot of this stuff running, and it's just nice to be able to have it all up and viewable versus having it down the toolbar and I have to click
Right,
to see if
right.
something. So it's probably overkill. I mean, I know it's overkill, but that would be kind of my dream setup is the iMac, maybe a larger 27-inch iMac with, I have a 30-inch Dell right now monitor, and it'd be nice to have those kind of side by side. And
Right. Yeah, I'm definitely
Yeah.
thinking I have a 21.5-inch iMac, and I would definitely go for 27 because everything is cramped on my screen. I have like Twitter and email, and now we have HipChat, and it's just too small. Like some stuff have to be hidden for me to be able to work, so it doesn't. So a bigger screen would definitely be better.
Yeah, and if you wait for Apple to release their 27-inch Retina, which will happen one of these days, it will probably be a Super Ultra HD, which would be like over 5,000 pixels by some, I don't know, crazy number. It would be insane because what they would do is they would basically double the current resolution of the current iMac 27-inch. So you would get a proper 4K solution with the same amount of real estate, which would be absolutely incredible, and it would look better than my 4K monitor. And then I would be jealous.
And then you will sell your
Yeah.
monitors and get the better one.
so I have to ask, what happened to the S5? This is another little bullet point here under make fun of Jeff. So
I don't know. I just wanted to be able to focus. I didn't want any distractions, and that was sitting there kind of a distraction. So I just decided to get rid of it, and just especially these next few months, I really want to focus as much as I can.
So you sold
work.
this on Craigslist?
Yeah.
Did the guy get a deal or what?
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah. I mean, it wasn't a great deal, but he saved some money. Yeah. Yeah, he got a pretty good deal. Oh, well, I'll take the loss.
I'm surprised that you didn't start a blog, S5 blog, before you got rid of it.
Okay,
I'm sorry.
I
It's the
highly
running
thought about
joke.
it. Well, that's the reason I got rid of it, because I didn't want the temptation to do that. So, what? I'm serious.
It's just funny that you were really thinking about it.
Yeah, I didn't want the temptation of doing that right now. I don't have the time to do that. So right now it's kind of like a crunch time. So yeah, maybe get back with me next year at this time. See what's happening. Probably be the
Or
same
in
thing.
a couple months. It's whatever.
So a lot's
Okay.
changed in my technology life.
Good for you, Jeff.
Yeah.
Thank you.
As long as you're happy, that's all that matters.
Thank you, Cody. Thank you a lot.
So I guess, do we want to talk about apps? Apps we've downloaded? It seems like there's quite a few here.
Yes, I downloaded something this week.
You did. Congratulations.
Two somethings. Yeah, go ahead and tell us about these.
I downloaded HipChat, which is something I've been asking Sebastian about since it first debuted. And he finally decided, it just came out of the blue one day and sent me an invite to HipChat. So I was
It didn't come out of the
extremely
blue. Cody and Christian knew it was coming.
Oh,
yeah,
they did.
we've just been talking about a way to better
Oh.
increase communication, right? And we used Yammer for a long time, and that was just terrible. You'd get like multiple notifications on your iPhone, multiple notifications on the web, and they had this terrible Flash native Adobe whatever.
Terrible.
Adobe Air, that's right. And it was
Horrible.
just, these clients were all awful.
Awful. Like, there's no way to overstate how awful they were.
right.
Well,
And so
actually,
we
no,
got
no,
rid
no,
of
no, no.
it.
It was visually speaking, it was a very nice app, but it didn't work very well. And the problem was mainly notifications. It's just the notifications were not in sync. Sometimes you wouldn't get notifications. Sometimes you would, or sometimes you would receive them an hour later. So it was just
Right.
it wasn't a very reliable platform.
Way to communicate.
Yeah.
And I think we switched to iMessage, which probably wouldn't. You can have group messages, but it's nothing like these back channel apps, right?
Mhm.
You can't see there's just something different.
Well,
It's tough to explain the difference, but
The difference is you're not mixing it with your personal life. Again, that there's something to be said about having a work app that, all right, I know when I go here, everything that I see in this app is going to be I download blog related. There's something nice about that.
well, I think it has to do with how the information is displayed. If I look at iMessage and I look at HipChat, I mean, it's just very different. The way it's set up, the way it looks, the way you interact with other members. You can have multiple chat rooms going on. Again, I really like HipChat, by the way. We started up just in the last couple days, and I love it. It seems to work very well.
I definitely love it. The only thing I don't quite understand about it is the whole idea of users disconnecting or losing connection. Like, I don't get that. Why does it even show that? Like, who cares if a person is quote unquote connected or not?
Well, so
You know what I mean?
Yeah, so you know if you can expect to
A response,
yeah.
yeah.
Right, but why does it have to show that in? I don't know. I guess it just should
Well,
show.
Just, I mean, yeah, they have indicator lights on the side that tell you red or if somebody's in or not. But I agree with Sebastian. I think that if I'm going to say at Jeff, this, if I didn't see you leave just before that, I'd be expecting a response,
Okay. Well,
like a quick response almost. So I don't know. I think it's just to help with that.
yeah, makes sense. Oh, well, you can actually turn that off. Okay. I see that now. And if you go to preferences, the first option, the absolute first option is show room, join, and leave messages. So I'm going to do that now.
So
what is it? What is it? Preference you're talking about?
Show room, join, and leave messages. Like, you know, where it says Christian has left the room, lost connection. You can get rid of those.
Oh yeah, replace. Okay, gone.
he said gone. But otherwise, solid app. I even like the iPhone app. So
Yeah, the iPhone app works great.
Great app.
Yeah, room for improvement. Like I wish you could create. You could get the chat windows. For example, if I'm with Cody in our little chat, two of us, I wish I could take it out of HipChat and make it its own window somewhere on my computer.
Yeah, that's a good idea. You can rearrange the
You can
rooms, which
rearrange
is
them,
nice.
but I want it to be its own window. Its
Yeah.
own. You know how you can do this in messages. I can
Oh,
double click and I have my own window with you.
yeah.
So, but yeah, so good stuff so far. Hopefully we stick to it and we make the best of it.
Yeah, I think we will. For sure. Okay, the next app on my list is Overcast. And obviously there was a big splash about this. It's something that very famous blogger, or I guess famous in the tech circles at least, Marco Arment, creator of Instapaper, formerly of Tumblr. He has been working on this podcasting app and it finally released after, seems like a year or so. And it's actually really good.
Years, yeah.
Yeah, he's been talking about it for a while, but it's really good. It's, I don't think it's the prettiest looking app. I'm not a huge fan of the fonts that he chose, but it works well. It's reliable, and that's what really counts. Like, nothing makes me more angry than when I get in the car and I'm driving and I want to quickly like turn the podcast on and there's some kind of error message. And that's what I've had with both Apple Podcasts and with Pocket Cast. They just seem unreliable. This one has been working fairly well since I've had it. I haven't had any major problems like that. So, and it also has these nice little features. One is called, let me just play. It's called Smart Speed, which will shorten the silences between long silences like this. So if there's like a long delay between comments, it'll get rid of that delay so that it shortens your listening time, the play time of the podcast. And then there's Voice Boost, which I'm not a big fan of actually. It basically adds an EQ and compression to the podcast to make everyone's voice seem level. That one's not talking, way louder than the other, stuff like that. So never was not a big fan of that. I don't think it sounds good when that voice boost is on, especially listening over my Bluetooth connection in my car. But good app overall. It's free, actually. It's a new business model for him, at least. It's free, and there is a $4.99 in-app purchase. So basically, it's $4.99 if you want to use these extra features, and if you really want to use the podcast app like it was meant to be used.
Right. I agree with you. I'm not a huge fan of design, but I think I read on he did a blog post about kind of behind the scenes of him creating it. He's not really a designer, and he didn't really have to hire one other than for, I think, the icon. He hired a third party, but the app itself, because of the iOS 7 design language and flat text, basically just fonts are really all the design you have to do. Everything else is just kind of these spaced out, lots of empty space, buttons, flat icons. He didn't have to do a whole lot. It's something that you could do yourself. You don't have to outsource, because if you think back iOS 6 and before, these really textured designs, you had to hire somebody to do. That's not something you could just kind of make up on your own. But anyways, I thought that aspect was interesting. I also how cool, like, I know he made some money off the Tumblr sale. He made some money off of selling Instapaper. I think he even made some money when he sold the magazine. Now he has time to just kind of do whatever he wants. Spent years making this podcast app, and I think he did a really good job.
Yeah, I like it.
Did you get to try the silence things that you just mentioned, Jeff? Like, does it actually work?
Yeah, it works. It definitely works. You can tell, like, when there's not this, some of those podcasts have really long pauses, and it just eliminates those. And it does a really good job, and it cuts down on the time you have to spend listening.
Well, because if you look at other podcast apps like Pocket Cast and others, they have this option to speed up playback, right? Because some people don't want to spend an hour and a half or 2 hours listening to a podcast. They want to speed it up a little bit. This smart speed feature shortens the time, but doesn't give you the kind of high-pitched, in other apps. Exactly. If you cross the line in other apps with speeding it up, you'll get very high-pitched, kind of annoying voices.
Chipmunks.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's a nice feature because it keeps the integrity of the original sound of the podcast, yet it still makes it faster to listen to. And obviously, you're not going to shave off like a half an hour or anything like that unless people have really long silences. But it will. I mean, every second, every minute counts when you're pressed for time.
You just made it sound like you have a super urgent job or title. When
I have to get out of here.
And you have to listen to the podcast quickly so you can go do this important job. I don't know why that was kind of funny.
We just? We didn't get sidetracked about. We're still talking about the apps we downloaded, huh?
Yeah. Here, I'll go real quick because I actually had Overcast, but we can obviously skip that because I'm also a fan. I haven't done the Pro package yet. I've just been using a base model, but I'm right on the edge. I'll most likely pay the $5 because I like the app. I also downloaded Yamaha's mobile music sequencer. Of course, me and deals. I found Yamaha basically put a lot of its more popular mobile app titles. They marked them down to free for the 40th anniversary of the Yamaha synthesizer. So this was what I thought this one, then, I think they all kind of work in conjunction with hardware like Yamaha instruments, but this one I could kind of play with standalone, right? It's just kind of like maybe a more complex version of GarageBand. There's a little keyboard you can play. You can mess with the different sound effects. You can compile songs. So I dabble. I'm about as amateur as they get in that respect, but I like dabbling. I like playing with stuff like that.
You like this one better than a little Keezy?
It's definitely more capable. But no,
more capable than what?
More than Keezy. Did you want me to say Little Keezy?
Yeah.
Oh, it's more capable than Little Keezy, but it's no. I think that one's more fun for goofing around and making goofy beats and stuff. So I downloaded that one, and like I said, I think there's at least 7 other apps that normally cost money. This one's normally $16, so it's huge that it's free. And I think there's others that range from like $2 to $6 that are also free right now, so you should check them out. Cinematic, that was Apple's free app of the week. This one's made by Hipstamatic is they do. I mean, they were kind of the Instagram before Instagram, weren't they? They filters and stuff like that for iPhone apps. They made this video capture app that allows you to capture up to 16 seconds of video and add like filters and things. It's kind of cool, kind of artsy. I think it's only usually $1. And I think you still have to pay a couple bucks to unlock the Pro features. But I mean, for normally costs $1, this being free, it was worth checking out. You can kind of make some artsy films. And then finally, I downloaded Gameloft, released this weird game out of nowhere this past week. It's called Ninja Up. And I mean, when you think Gameloft, you think Modern Combat, these over-the-top first-person shooters, or you think maybe like movie tie-ins, like, you know, what was it, Amazing Spider-Man or some others. This is nothing like that. This is literally kind of like a Flappy Bird, but going vertical. It's like any other line jump game you've played. You try to get your ninja up through these various levels. You draw a line with a rope. The ninja jumps on that, and they go move up. The smaller the line is, the higher they jump, and you have to get around like other crazy ninjas. And I don't know. It's a cute game. It's a fun game, and it's addictive. So I pick it up and play it when I have a minute. In that, I tried out Brakes. What was it? Is that what it was called? Brakes?
No Brakes.
Oh, no brakes. Yeah, No Brakes.
No Brakes. I tried that out, and I mean, it's still on my phone after a couple of days. So that's kind of fun when I want to play something different too. That's kind of fun.
That's it?
That's all the apps.
Dude, my Mac is going to take off, I think. Like the window behind it is going to start melting. And
so
then
like slowly scooting away.
And then it's going to start taking off and like fly out of space. It has to with the sound it's making. It's probably like, I don't know. It's weird.
What'd you download, Sebastian?
I don't have much. Actually, I have like an app I'm super stoked about, but I keep it for the end, I think. First app I downloaded is Google Analytics. They just released their official Google Analytics app in the App Store. There were a bunch of third-party apps for Google Analytics before, and that's what I used. I had one. I don't even remember the name because I rarely, if ever, use this on my iPhone. But I saw that Google has its own official app now. So I downloaded this, and I didn't get to play with it much, really, because, again, I don't really care much. But it's here on my phone, and it looks good. It seems to be working good. It gives you very basic information at a glance, which is usually what I want to get anyway. So good app. It's free, of course, from Google. Another one I downloaded is called Timberman. You guys have probably seen it in the top charts of the App Store, right?
I think so, yeah.
It's been getting lots of coverage in blogs, and blogs usually call it the new Flappy Bird. Not so much in the game mechanics. It's not a Flappy Bird clone by any means, but it's the same kind of actually mechanics. It's you just tap the screen frenetically, and you have to jump a tree, and without getting hit on the head by the branches of the tree. So it's very stupid. It's a very mindless game. You don't have to think really much, but you have to be very fast, though. I'll give you that. And pretty addictive. Again, it's like one of those things, you get into it and you have your high score of 200 and you're like, I'm sure I can do 210. And you end up spending hours on it. And I like these games because they're like pick up and play, or whatever you want to call them. It doesn't need mindless. You don't need much. You just need like 2 minutes in line at the store, or maybe at the red light if you're like a little into it. So it's a fun app. And then the last one that I've discovered just browsing the photo section of the App Store on Thursday or Friday. It's called Ultra Text, and it is pretty freaking awesome. You launch the application and you create a short text message, and it allows you to choose the font and the background color of each word. So for example, if I say, it has to be short messages to be efficient, really. If I say, hey, what's up? I'm going to type hey, and then I'll be able to choose the font color for the word hey and the background color. And then I do this for every word. And then you can send this via iMessage to someone. And when they receive it as an animated GIF. So it's you have to see it.
That sounds really cool.
It is super cool. You don't want to communicate exclusively with that. I did that with a friend, actually. I sent him a text, and he was like, oh my God, how do you do this? And I tell him, and then like all the text he sends are generated for this app. It's like super annoying. But if like you do like very short messages, and it's super cool. You can add your emojis in there as well. So basically it creates effortlessly a GIF, an animated GIF that you can iMessage, or you can send to Facebook or Twitter or save to your phone. But the best way to do it is through iMessage, because it works very good in the iMessage chat bubbles. It's formatted expressively, especially whatever, just for this, just for iMessage. So it's free. You can pay 99 cents to remove, like every time you send a animated GIF, it adds automatically a little watermark below the message. So you can actually remove this. You can hit the backspace and remove this. It says image created with UltraText, download link here. You can just delete this. Or you can just pay 99 cents and never see this message again. It's really fun. Actually, I'm surprised I haven't sent one to you guys yet.
I think I saw the post over the weekend. But you haven't sent me one of these pretty little iMessages yet.
Well, I guess I should. I should have done it before, so you guys know exactly what it looks like. Jeff is already downloading it, and he's actually trying it out right now. Right?
No, I don't want to touch my iPhone because I'm using the iPhone for internet right now, so I'm kind of scared to even mess with it.
Oh, that's right.
But maybe I'll do it on my gold iPhone.
Oh. What's going on here? I'm trying to type and I can't type. I can't type for saving my life here. Okay. Here you go. I'm going to send you a little message, guys. You deserve it.
You deserve it.
Here you go. Maybe you even get a little photo. You can even add like a little photo. Here you go. All right. Boom. Text message. Remove the little text at the bottom. Select recipients. That would be Cody. So phone number 817.
Hey.
Jeff, phone number 502.
Hey.
Here you go.
Jeff doesn't even want you to know his email.
Yeah, and Jeff doesn't want to receive text messages at this phone number. I forgot that. Here you go.
I feel like you just messed up our iMessage thread again.
Well, it doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter because now we're not gonna use this anymore.
Okay, here we go.
That's really cool. But now I'm probably gonna crash my iPhone. That does look neat.
That's pretty
So
cool.
you have to open the app. You have to open the Messages app because the preview you see on the lock screen doesn't give you a preview of the animation. It just shows you the first image. But when you open it up, you see everything in there. So,
Oh man. I can imagine my girlfriend using this, so I'm gonna try not to let her see it. Oh. Well, if we're done with apps, is there any reviews, or do we go straight to stupid joke section, or?
Stupid joke section. Well, let me say a couple iTunes review first.
Okay.
From several people. I know we didn't do it last week. So I've got 4 ones. 4 of them give us 5 stars. Liz Zoe 5 said this podcast is the greatest podcast. Every week 2 podcasts come out and they never tend to disappoint. Keep it up. Hope the podcast never stop. Thumbs up. Raken Flavor 216 says he loves IDB podcast. Hey guys. Oh, I think it's a question. Hey guys, I know we are all excited about iPhone 6, but no one is talking about the C. Do you think Apple will kill the C, or will they still keep in their product line and leave it as 4-inch so everyone can have their own size? I think we actually discussed this last week or a couple of weeks ago. So you might want to check out these previous episodes. The Mac Daddy, practical, useful, and fun to listen to. Favorite thing to listen to. Awesome. And then Troublemaker says he loves the stupid jokes. So, without further ado, stupid jokes. Who's up?
I'm up.
Go.
So a guy walks into a bar and takes a seat, but before he can... What?
Is this a spider joke?
No.
Okay.
Now I lost my momentum. So a guy walks into a bar and takes a seat. Before he can order his beer, the bowl of pretzels in front of him says, "Hey, you're a handsome fellow." The man tries to ignore the bowl of pretzels and orders a fine Pilsner beer. The bowl of pretzels says to him, "Oh, a Pilsner beer. Great choice. You're a smart man." The guy starts to freak out and says to the bartender, "Hey, what the heck? This bowl of pretzels keeps saying nice things to me." The bartender says, "Don't worry about it. The pretzels are complimentary."
I feel like we've heard that one. I think you read that one before, Jeff.
No,
I don't think so.
No?
Never said
Oh,
that joke.
okay. Maybe I've read it in my endless quest for it's a good one for sure. So if we hadn't said
It's
it
good,
before,
it's good.
Kudos. Okay.
Hold on. Can I do mine so that mine is not the last one because it's pretty bad and I don't want people to remember it. So I want your joke to be the last one, Cody, if possible.
Ooh, I don't know if you want mine to be last. But go
mine is
for it.
pretty. It might be not very tasteful. So you tell me if it's not. Maybe we can cut it off of the recording too. If it's too bad.
Well, let me. If you know it's going to be cut out, then
Just go. Just tell
why
it.
did
We'll pick
why
up the
did little
pieces
Johnny fall off the swings?
later. Why?
Because he has no arms.
Oh, wow.
Knock knock.
Who's there?
Not little Johnny.
oh,
Oh, wow.
it's
I don't know if I
cold-blooded.
want my voice laughing at that. You could cut out me laughing. Jeff. I appreciate it.
Well, guys, I would
that's
make a
bad.
pizza joke, but it's too cheesy.
Oh, wow. That's pretty good. What's red and bad for your teeth?
A brick.
Crushed bricks, toothpaste.
Oh.
Oh, I don't know.
Toothpaste?
A brick.
No, it was a brick. Yeah,
We did it
Okay,
last
good.
week or 2 weeks ago.
Did we?
I think you did it too, actually.
Oh man, I just accused Jeff of doing it.
Yeah.
Okay, here's another one. What is a pirate's favorite letter?
Oh, you just did this one. Oh.
No, that was favorite. What is a movie rated? This is different. So let me start over. What is a pirate's favorite letter?
R.
No, his first love will always be the sea. I'll go out on that semi-high note.
All right, so a grasshopper walks into a bar. Bartender says, "Hey, we have a drink named after you." The grasshopper says, "You get a drink named Steve?"
That was really
That's a really good one.
yeah, that was really
Okay, that's my favorite of the day.
yeah, for sure.
Actually, it might be my favorite joke from Jeff ever. I don't know.
Well, that's not a very high bar. I don't really have to tell good ones to do that.
Oh.
So you've heard the one about the three-legged dog, right,
Yes.
Donnie? Oh, okay. All right.
No, I haven't. Okay, say the joke.
So a three-legged dog walks into a bar and says, "I'm looking for the man who shot my paw." Okay, yeah, that's
My power?
paw, like
his dad and his paw.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
but also his paw.
I guess you had to watch like westerns,
okay,
old
yeah,
westerns,
yeah,
to make sure. Yeah, that's an oldie but goodie.
Man, Sebastian, this message is super like distracting.
Are you still looking at it?
It's just the iMessage app usually always stays up on my screen, and it's just like green, pink.
Oh yeah,
Sebastian's face.
yeah. When it's on the Mac, yeah, I just usually like click on another conversation. But I've been sending so many of these, like all my conversations include.
That's
this, man.
hilarious.
That's a
you don't-
good app. That's a good
Hope
app.
you don't get what is it? When you can't see flashing lights, what is that called?
Color. Oh,
Epilepsy. Hope you don't have epilepsy.
Yeah, well, if you do have epilepsy, you'll find out with this app.
Oh man, I wonder. Yeah, there's like a warning on the app that says you probably shouldn't send this to your epileptic friend. Oh man.
All right, guys. Well, I'm gonna let you go before I pass the 2-hour mark here because I'm not gonna be able to export on my stupid Mac here.
Or before your iMac takes off.
Oh yeah, before it takes off. Like, well, I'll talk to you guys tomorrow for our other podcast,
We'll be here.
but we'll be here again next week, maybe a little earlier for another episode of Let's Talk iOS.
Yes, indeedy.
Perfect. See you guys.
Peace.
Peace. I knew you were gonna do that, Jeff. I knew it. Oh, shots fired, buddy.